Right, welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a very interesting report today. Obviously, the whole world and the movie industry is experiencing huge issues, like massive issues. And I did a video not too long ago where I said, you know, Disney's in big trouble. And someone said, like, every studio is in trouble. And I was like, not so. Not every studio just acquired 20th Century Fox for, like, an insane price. Billions. And not every studio also had a big outlay with respect to Star Wars, and not every studio rides on debt, not every studio is partnered with parks. You know, there's a lot of indie studios which are fine. They're fine. They're not particularly good at the moment, but they're not terrible either. Walt Disney is really bad at the moment. Really bad. And although it's a huge name, it's very concerning in terms of, well, I mean, I'm not concerned, I don't particularly care, but it's still concerning for the kind of the wider industry at large, and obviously for people that work for Disney, and I don't want anyone to lose their jobs and things. But yeah, huge problems at Disney, huge problems, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily their fault, but I guess you could say it's a byproduct of their greed, because they did purchase a huge company. You know, and this is just par for the course, really. Who could have predicted what was going to happen? But what a new rumour: the Walt Disney Company is going to be experiencing massive layoffs, and Bob Iger is on the chopping block. Now, he famously stepped down and went to Bob Chapek, and now he stepped back up again. So he's on the chopping block again. And yeah, so basically the rumour itself comes from WDW Magic forums. And in a recent post to the forums titled "On Layoffs, Very Bad Attendance, and Iger's Legacy Being One of Disgrace," a poster, Phoenix, however you pronounce that, basically said that the Walt Disney Company is about to experience some of the deepest layoffs I have ever witnessed in my adult life. Now, that's not, you know, although this is rumour, they lose something like 300 million or some just staggeringly high amount per day, every single day that their parks are closed because of running costs. Just keeping it just stationary, land just there, all those kind of costs are astronomically high. So it's really not a surprise that they are looking to lose a lot of people. But it'll be interesting whether they hire them again. That's the main thing I'm interested in. Are they going to hire them again? Because obviously, if they want to get back to back up to where they were, they're going to need to get the staff in to do it. Now, Phoenix elaborates: what you're about to see from WDC, so Walt Disney Company, will be shocking, and it will permanently change their business forever. The bloat is about to be gone. The mediocrity that's failed upward all our lives is about to be purged. A new company is emerging. Now, I mean, I can see that. I can. I mean, when companies take, for instance, one of my friends, right? One of my friends who's been on my second channel, my car channel. There's a lot of issues with businesses and things like that at this point in time, and a lot of businesses are using the current situation, the furlough schemes and things like that, as a great opportunity just to purge the absolute living hell out of their business, of the people that are just riding the wave. Basically, they're just sort of there. They're not hard workers. They're terrible or just fine, but they're using this as an opportunity to clean house. So Walt Disney Company is definitely not going to be any different. They will definitely be doing this as well. Now, so obviously it continues and says further that, well, these days are no more. What you're about to see from WDC, and kind of goes on to say that. In fact, Phoenix claims that Bob Iger will be one of those who gets axed. They write, and that brings me to Bob Iger, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Gotta Put Yoda on his wife's dress to bury some search engine leads. That guy. It is my pleasure to announce that he will be soon tossed on his arse. And apparently in disgrace. His sins, his poor judgment, his poor treatment of subordinates, his malicious temper, and outrageous displays of toxic masculinity, as the kids call it. All this and more is coming out. Good riddance. it doesn't really strike me as toxically masculine, but alright, fine. Apparently anything can be toxically masculine these days. But I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, right? And it continues further and says, there might be something to this rumour, as Abigail Disney, the granddaughter of Walt Disney Company co-founder Roy O. Disney, also warned that layoffs to the company would be coming. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. In a lengthy Twitter thread, Disney began criticising the current state of American businesses, saying, "There is a deep rot at the core of American fundamentalist capitalism. Over the years, a greed is good mindset has taken a hold across corporate culture, and CEOs have taken the ball and run with it." And obviously, very, very specifically to do with, Bob Iger. I mean, that's Bob Iger right there, isn't it? Now, Abigail Disney continued and said that they populate their boards with other CEOs and they add layers and layers of executive structure between themselves and their workers, basically like absolving themselves of any responsibility. Eventually they forget, what they once knew, if they ever did, about what it was like to live paycheck to paycheck, to have no power over your own destiny, to feel like a cog in a giant machine whose work is unskilled, ergo easily replaced by 100 other people who would rather take your horribly paid job than continue to languish on unemployment. And yeah, I mean, I can see that. It's awful, isn't it? No one wants to live like that, I don't think. And Abigail Disney's got some points. I find her to be quite, interesting to follow. She does come out with some very interesting bits and pieces every now and then. She continued and says, "I objected when Disney furloughed their workers, not because they shouldn't have, but because they should have waited as long as humanly possible to do so. Since unemployment benefits are finite and the clock starts ticking the minute you are furloughed, no matter how long the pandemic lasts." Fair point, they have a lot of money, but again, they are in a lot of trouble. They furloughed workers as quickly as they did because there was very little cash on hand. I said that about some businesses around near me. Like very, very famous, and again, all to do with cars, but very famous tuning garages for cars and stuff, just gone, poof, gone, because they don't have working cash. They just don't have anything. They said even after a year of historic profits, where was the cash? In the hands of executives and shareholders. $11.5 billion went out the door in share buybacks, enriching everyone but the people who worked hard to make this happen. She's got a point. Absolutely, she's got a point. But then, what's the alternative, I guess? That's kind of structure and things like that. And I'm not saying it's right, but, people are very quick to say these things, but they're very sort of crickets when they say, what's the alternative? Now, Disney would then continue to criticise corporate greed among the CEO class before explaining that Disney furloughed their workers because they intend to lay them off anyways, which is what we're seeing now. And again, it's not a surprise, although it's rumour, it's definitely going to happen. Disney furloughed, and I say that, but 99% certain anyway. Disney furloughed its workers because they intend to lay many of them off, but they didn't want the bad publicity that would come with layoffs. So they chose to take the heat of two medium-sized PR hits instead of one great big one. Wait for it, layoffs are coming. I don't expect Disney to pay people who don't work for them, nor do I expect them to employ people in excess of what they can afford. And I just think it's fascinating, isn't it? A business like Disney, how can they not afford this anymore? But two things about that are important. The first is that they had not spent the last 2 decades prioritising efficiency and productivity in the form of smaller staffs doing the same amount of work, pressuring people out so as to discourage seniority, messing with people's hours so they can't claim the benefits of being full-time workers, and the people whom they've cut loose would not have been so ill prepared for the pandemic. Makes perfect sense. She has very valid points. She continued and said that these people not only did not have any savings, many of them have been forced into high-priced rented housing. Many of them have had to look at pantries to feed their families. Many shift workers were forced to delay healthcare or else work when sick because they'd not worked enough constructive hours because they were sick, to even take advantage of the sick day policy. Again, these are things which are quite exclusive to the States. We don't have a lot of this stuff over here. And basically, the Twitter tirade from Abigail Disney just goes on and on and on. So the first thing is basically, I and many, many others told you so. Your business practices have turned what would have been a crisis into a cataclysm for millions of American workers. Congrats. She has a point again. It's very difficult to deny what she's saying. Yeah, I don't deny any of it. So basically, where does that leave us? Well, it continues past what we've already said. We've got the theme park insider. The Universal Orlando Resort has announced that it is laying off an unspecified number of its team members. as the tourism industry remains mired in a global slowdown due to the pandemic. There you go. And that's, you know, that's Universal Orlando Resort. You don't think this is coming for Disney? It's coming for Disney. It really is. It has to be. And again, you know, I don't want out anything. I want anyone to go, but it's definitely what's going to happen. And again, like, a lot of people see these rumours on boards and they go, well, it's just rumours, whatever. And yeah, they are, but come on. Come on, it's going to happen, isn't it? Let's be honest. So what do you guys think? Good, bad? Let me know down below in the comment section. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Stay up to date on the world of pop culture and movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Links to Patreon, Teespring, all that good stuff are down below in the description box. Support the channel further if you want. Thanks so much. Take care.